Okay, well, welcome to tonight's Power of Peptide. I'm so excited for you all to be here. My name is Kelly Hoover, and I am just introducing these amazing ladies, all from the medical field, to be able to share their peptides, what they're using, why they're using it. So, if you're a guest tonight or you're listening to this on the recording, I just want to first say, well, welcome. We're so excited that you are here. If you are here live and you do have some questions, you can use the chat feature down below and ask some questions if you want to ask these ladies as they begin to share their story. But we're so glad you're here, and you may be wondering if you're brand new and you don't know what a peptide is, you may be wondering what are peptides. It's this kind of fancy word that I've been hearing thrown around a lot. And what I want to just give you a simple education before I toss it over to these healthcare professionals to share their stories. And Nikki's going to be sharing first with us is peptides are they're naturally occurring things in your body. These are amino acids, chains of amino acids. And when you have less than 50 blocks of amino acids together, they form a peptide. When you have 50 or more, they form a protein. So all these things that they're talking about tonight are naturally occurring in our body. And as we age and as we go through life, we stop producing them as much. They stop working as well, depending on which one we're talking about. And so peptides are really we love injectables. We have injectables, nasal sprays. We have all different types of delivery methods here. But they truly are transforming our lives, not only through weight loss, but through longevity and through so many other things. So I see we have JC back on. So I am just super excited. I want to first introduce Nikki, and I'm going to ask Nikki and JC and Kelly as they come on. I'd love for you guys each to just do a little introduction of yourself, what your background is, and then I'd love for you to share a little bit about your peptides and the stories that you have. And those of you, if you are listening and you have questions about something that they trigger or something, please do not hesitate to drop it in to the chat box, and we will make sure that we try to get those answered. So, Nikki, I am going to mute myself and I'm going to toss it over to you to share first. Thank you so much, everybody, for being on.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you for having us. So I am Nikki Kennedy. I am 46. I'm an ER nurse. I've been a nurse for 22 years. I'm a wife and I'm a mom. I have a 15-year-old daughter and I have twin boys who are 12. So my GLP-1 experience I'm going to talk about, it's a little different because I didn't start it for weight loss, which is what you typically hear about. So I actually started it for my insulin resistance and prediabetes. So I was diagnosed with PCOS with insulin resistance when I was 30 when we started to first try to have our first child. So we ran into some, infertility issues. I finally got pregnant, but I ended up with gestational diabetes, both pregnancies. So with gestational diabetes, you have a 50% chance of developing diabetes within 5 years of giving birth. As a nurse, I knew what that meant because I see what diabetes does every single day in the ER. So I took it really seriously. So when my boys turned 2014, I got serious. I started working out. I cleaned up my diet. I started taking different supplements. Over that decade, I lost about 50 pounds. I actually started becoming a trainer, teaching bar classes. I was doing all the things, getting my labs checked, and I was still hovering in that pre-diabetic range. So the real wake-up call happened 2 years ago. It was November 23. My A1C hit 6.2. That's like the high end of prediabetes. I was knocking on diabetes door. Um, that was my wake up call. Again, I see what diabetes looks like every day in the ER, and I did not want that to be my story. So I just finished actually a macro coach certification. So what I did in January of 2024 is I created my own PCOS macro protocol. I did all the things. I was all in. I no alcohol. I did not eat out. I meal prepped everything. I weighed all my food. I tracked everything. I was strength training 5 days a week, prioritized sleep, minimal processed foods. I ate after I walked. I literally did all the things. Okay. And it worked. I lost 20 pounds. I felt stronger than ever. It was the best I'd looked probably my whole life. Not, can't even compare it. I looked better than I did in my 20s, but I was still showing insulin resistant. My labs were still hanging there. I was 5.9. I moved the needle just a little bit in the right direction. So I felt super defeated. I'm like, what else can I possibly do? I'm literally doing all the things. I'm as disciplined as I can be. What else is there? And that's when I heard about microdosing GLPs, specifically a GLP GIP. So that's how they support, insulin sensitivity when lifestyle changes aren't enough. So that is why I ended up getting started. So what ended up happening is my A1C after I started microdosing, guys, is 5.4 right now, which that's not normal. That's optimal. Like I'm in the optimal range. That has never happened to me. Obviously, my whole life. My fasting glucose is now 90. It has not been below 100 in the last decade. So, I also did lose 10 pounds with the microdosing. I had body recomp. I feel fantastic. Okay. So all those things are exciting, but like my labs, they're really like the most exciting to me. Because here's the truth, we choose how we age. I get that lab works, not as sexy as like slipping back into, your jeans that you haven't worn in a decade or pulling that black dress, from the back of your closet and wearing that. But, if you saw what I see every single shift in the ER, you would make it a priority. You would use every single tool available to age optimally. And when I'm saying optimally, I'm not talking about just adding years to your life. I'm talking about quality years, years where you can still do all the things that matter most to you. We get one body. You can't trade it in like a car. Once your health is gone, there's no turning back. So that's why I get so excited about this journey. It means so much to me, not just as a nurse, but as a woman who wants to decide how I'm going to age. I'm aging on my terms. I want to be the active mom. I want to be when I'm a grandmom. I want to be the grandma in the backyard playing kickball, teaching my grandkids how to deadlift. So living with a history of gestational diabetes and PCOS is always going to be something I have to navigate. But now I finally have, a tool that works, with my nutrition and lifestyle, not against them. So the last peptides that I'm going to just tell you guys that I take, I take everything that I can because again, the more you learn about them, you just geek out and you get so excited because they just truly, get to the root cause of things. So I cycle in NAD, BPC 157, TB500, glutathione, Tessa and ipamorelin, and I recently started GHKCU. So that is my story. I'll pass it back to Kelly, and I can't wait to hear the other nurses' stories. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. I love it. And, knowing you and watching you go through the transition and seeing you get so healthy and doing all the right things, right? And then this truly being something that unlocked, like going along with everything you were doing is incredible. So thank you so much, Nikki, for sharing. So I'm gonna toss it over to JC, and I think I saw her hop back on. So you'll have to unmute yourself, and I cannot wait for you to share your story. Start off with a little bit about yourself and then tell us a little bit about your peptide story.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm coming to you from Georgia. My name's JC. I'm a nurse by trade. I worked Mother Baby for about 11 years. Now I'm in community nurse. I work for our public school system on the leadership team. So I really get to be with kids in the schools and I really love it. I have 3 kids of my own. I have a 17-year-old son, 14 and 12-year-old girls. So we're in that teenager mix. I actually got introduced to this by my friend Kelly, who's going to speak in just a minute after I'm done. But what I love about this is let me backtrack a little bit. I personally have always been into health. Grew up an athlete. I got to play in college. I married a coach, a college baseball player. So we've been very big into health and being active. I think that also kind of spurred me on into nursing. Um, and I grew up with a mom who also had breast cancer and uterine cancer. So I knew very early that I wanted to reduce my risk, which meant for me that I had my babies young. I breastfed my babies quick, fast, early. I wanted to make sure I was doing everything I could to keep myself reducing the risks for those own cancer, um, that we run into if we're not being prevalent in that. So on top of that, actually, I kept up with going to my doctor, getting my mammograms, lab tests, all of that. But about 3 years ago, I did experience a bit of a scare. I had to visit the oncologist. My blood work showed that I was near blood transfusion levels. My iron was very low. And a lot of that was due to abnormal cells in the uterus. So I ended up visiting an oncologist. I had a hysterectomy. And I really knew a lot of this was due to inflammation in my body. Inflammation is the number one reason why we have chronic illnesses. So I had toyed around with and knew personally through my own experiences that weight loss, if I could get myself in a certain weight range, then I didn't have the cystic acne that I was experiencing, that I didn't have the heavy bleeding, I didn't have a lot of the things that I was having symptoms of if I could just keep my weight and my insulin resistance in a certain range. Well, many of you may experience this as well. It might be relatable, but that was really kind of hard for me. I was a lot of yo-yoing. I did a lot of different diets. Things would work and then they wouldn't. So actually, fast forward, then I was talking to Kelly. She is an amazing nurse. She's in the chronic health area already, and so we were talking about peptides, and she was so excited in sharing about these peptides with me. And she kind of shed a new light on them because before GLP-1s to me were, kind of an easy fix, or that maybe I wasn't a candidate for them, or maybe they wouldn't help me lose even 10 to 15 pounds. I really hadn't heard about microdosing before. And when she was sharing with me, I felt it was so magnetic. I wanted what she was excited about. So jumping into it, I jumped on the GLP-1 GIP with the B12, which is tirzepatide. I have been on that for about 9 weeks now. I'm so excited. I've lost 15 pounds, but even more than that is the non-scale victories. I've extremely noticed about the inflammation reduction. So I had been seeing it in my ankles. I had been seeing it just in, super in the skin, face, all of it, and it's all been gone. My bra sizes are lower. My socks aren't leaving indentions in my feet. I'm sleeping so hard. I'm waking very rested, and I'm just so excited about what these are doing for me personally. And I know unless you're experiencing some of those symptoms yourself, you may not understand. It may not be as relatable, but I'm here to tell you that they are working for me personally. And I'm just so excited. I've been able to talk to other people that are using them and also experiencing the same success. So I'm going to pass it over to you. I love that we get to share our stories. Kelly's about to share what she gets to do with it as a nurse. Again, the success stories are, everybody responds to them differently, but that's just how they've worked for me. So I'm passing it over to you, Kelly.
Hey guys, I wasn't sure if it was Kelly Hoover or Kelly
Yeah,
Evans.
you go ahead.
Um, hey everybody, my name is Kelly Evans. So many similarities. Obviously, JC and I, we've known each other for a long time, but thankfully, Nikki and I have been introduced here as well. I am a mom and a wife as well. Also, have 3 kids and girls that are 14, and my oldest daughter is 16, almost about to be 16. And so I've been a nurse for over 20 years. And what I've loved about that is I've been able to work in so many different areas in healthcare, ER being one of those as well. And so I've seen people at the very, very sickest. But 4 years ago, so I was able to walk into that. I was able to start working with people that have chronic illnesses. Um, Kelly, are you able to hear me?
You're frozen, but we can hear you. So there you
Okay,
go.
I'm gonna keep going. I'm so sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Um, so yeah, my job now is to speak with patients on a daily basis who are living with chronic illnesses, specifically with diabetes, but most of those, because we know all of these things run together. They also have heart issues and they have kidney issues. And now I'm beginning to work with patients with dementia because that is now being called type 3 diabetes. And all of these things stem from inflammation. Um, because of being in this world, it has just kind of opened a new awareness to me. It's very different speaking to somebody on the phone when they're living in their house and not in the ER. When they're in the ER, we know they're super sick. When they're at home, you expect to hear something a little bit different. And what I kept hearing after day after day, after phone call, is people just miserable and tired and in pain and kind of just assuming that this is what life has to be when you get older. And it began to break my heart in a completely different way. And at the same time, all of my patients were on GLP-1s. And so I've started learning more and more and more. I started seeing that they were getting results from that. But the one thing that was just really bothering me is that they were not getting any support or any education at all. Not from their physicians, not from their primary care, not from even an endocrinologist. Not to say there aren't some, but the majority of the ones that I was speaking with were not getting that. So I just started digging and I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. And then what started to just become really apparent to me is why are we waiting to give these incredible things to people when they are so sick? Why are we not doing this when somebody when we know that there's so many benefits that can help somebody far before that? And now even at the point where we know that we can use them very preventatively. And so I started kind of looking at myself a lot and thinking like, I have started gaining weight. Probably not really noticeable to a lot of other people, but to me it was. Um, I started realizing that, I had a little bit of that achiness, just the fatigue, just all of those kind of things. So I asked my own doctor, is this something that you would consider? Have you looked into this? So is this something that I could do? My doctor was like, no, we can't do that. You can't find a reputable source. And so I just kept digging, and thankfully, LAMD was introduced to me. The most amazing thing to me was the education that LAMD offers to all of their patients, and really just community-wide. Just anybody that wants the information, that wants the education, you will find that here. That is probably the biggest missing puzzle piece that I've seen. Um, and I think it's really cool that LAMD offers that. So for me, I have personally started a GLP GIP a couple months ago, and it was exactly what I was hoping it would do. I lost just those couple pounds that I needed to lose, but what it has done for my body, it actually made my body start responding to all the things that I have been doing, the working out, the walking, the trying to eat right. My body finally has responded in a way that it has not responded to since before kids. And that's really incredible. So, people ask all the time, like, do you have to stay on this the rest of your life? No, you don't. And that's okay. And I think that's a different answer for everybody. But one of the things that I think is incredible is it's safe enough and it is also beneficial enough that we want to be able to keep something in our bodies that's going to make us as healthy as we could possibly be. So for me, I think the one thing I try to encourage people with is listen to those little whispers in your voice. I mean, not your voice, but the whispers of your body before your body just starts screaming at you. You don't want to be the people I have to talk to every day. So I think it's really important to make those changes. And this is one of the best things you could do is start some of these peptides now and just see how it affects your body. So that's all.
I love it. Thank you. And it's been so cool to watch your journey as well, Kelly. And one of the things that you brought up that I find to be so interesting that we don't talk about a lot is the education piece of it. And I know for myself, when I was personally going through starting my own peptide journey, I felt very alone. I felt, it was only two or three people that I knew were doing it. My doctor, wasn't educating me. It was just nothing out there except for what I would read online. I was getting my education from Instagram and TikTok and occasionally Chat GPT, and so the ability to have our educational calls. And if you guys don't know about the educational series, LEMD every Thursday night for over a year now has been offering different healthcare professionals, and they educate and they teach us about peptides, about things and nutrition and just so many different things. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think it's such an important part, and things are changing so much. Preventative healthcare, instead of really focusing on that, instead of living in a sick care world, is something I know we're all incredibly excited about. So, Nikki and JC and Kelly, thank you guys so much for sharing your experience with us today. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And we will have this again. If you would love to come back next Sunday night, every single Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be offering different people sharing their stories about peptides and what they've been using. And if you are part of our LEMD team, we will be back here in just about 8 minutes on this same Zoom link for our weekly education call for our team. All right, you guys, thanks, Kelly, thanks, Nikki, and thanks, JC. We'll see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.